Hey guys, 'tis the season to cleanse not only your physical body, but your home. And that's the conversation we had today was all the things that we feel are super important to pay attention to in your home environment and some of the statistics around, indoor air pollution and the massive amount of people developing illness as a result of not paying attention here.
Yeah, I think it's so important to pay attention and connect those dots that often are not connected when it comes to a diagnosis. We don't often recognize that this is something that's probably been playing out for so many years, and it's something that we're living in every single day. So what this episode does, it really helps support this idea of taking control back and trying to control the things that we can control and letting go of the other things. But like, how do we move from room to room and product to product so that we can start to support our health?
Yeah, so tune in and let us know what you think. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Health Ignited with just myself and Dr. Sonya today. We are entering into spring, right? And things are changing. Actually, just yesterday, there was a time change that happened that always throws...
I'm still against this time change situation.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever properly adjust. It's crazy how just that 1 hour makes a lot of difference, right?
Yeah, especially when you have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on this sort of topic of changing season, it's always, the time of year to really talk about, the spring cleaning, how to clean up your body. Obviously, your health is of utmost importance, obviously that of your families. And sometimes we go missing some of the really important points that we deal with on a daily basis in our homes. And so we wanted to talk about some of the things that we should be addressing, in our opinion, in regards to the home. So I think just an important place to start is to talk about some of the air pollution inside the home. And around the world, globally, it's leading to 3.8 million premature deaths. And so we're going to pull up some of those stats actually on what those deaths would be attributed to due to the indoor air pollution. So go ahead.
Yeah, so 27% pneumonia, 18% from stroke, 27% ischemic heart disease, 20% COPD, so chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and then 8% from lung cancer. So, you get diagnosed with something like this, and often you may not know why. And, even when we're investigating and trying to look at the why, when you're just looking at physiology and just kind of looking at why the changes happened, we sometimes don't understand that this has been an ongoing thing, probably from the time that you were in the womb, with all of the toxins, that are in the cord because of all the chemicals in the environment, and then the environment that you grow up in, and you think, it's a safe environment in your home, and yet the air itself is causing these like micro traumas within your body.
Yeah, it's the insidious stuff that no one really pays attention to, right? And I don't like sharing stories like this, but often we hear from patients, the oncologist or the doctor says, well, you just got lucky. Obviously that's not, I don't think that it was with any ill intent on the doctor's part, but it's mostly because most people aren't paying attention to all these things that show up on a regular basis. Obviously there's nothing lucky about developing cancer, but it's more like what
do you mean you just got lucky? Like they got cured?
No, they got lucky. Like why me? Like why did I develop cancer?
It's just an interesting word to use.
It's a crazy word to use. And I've heard it from a number of patients that said that, well, you just got, and there's obviously nothing lucky about it. And I don't say it to shame anyone, but it's because the reality that we live in, we are often not looking for the cause. We're not looking for the why. We're just dealing with the aftermath of the diagnosis, right?
Yeah. And I think, young mothers, all age mothers, but when we first become a mother, I think that's really when we step into a little bit of awareness, because when we're starting to buy things for our children, we start to like read the labels, or we start to have this understanding of like, oh, here's this like child coming out of my womb into the world, and I want it to be safe, and how can I support his or her environment so that she or he is growing up in a safe environment, and what foods do I give them, what products do I use, what diapers do I use? All these questions show up. And imagine if we plant those seeds when we're even younger for the young generation, that like, hey, everything that you do, every choice that you make going forward, those things that you're using every single day are going to have a huge impact on your health and the rest of your life.
Yeah. And just to dial it back to our own unique expression of health, I think it's important that we move away from this sort of genetic only model of why we develop illness.
Yeah.
Like, yes, something can show up more frequently in your family line, maybe that's heart disease or something else. But, the more we keep buying into that phenomenon, oh, it's just in your genes, the less control we have, the less like proactive, preventative focus we're going to have on our health. And we're just going to think, well, we just, quote unquote, got lucky or unlucky, you know what I mean? And so, paying attention to our environment is super important. So let's go into some of the things that the innovation has led to increased convenience, right? But then to the detriment of our health. And so let's talk about some of those things of convenience.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to your home, what I would actually like to do is break it up into different rooms and then kind of go bigger picture of like personal and just what we're doing with our children and our reproductive system. So
cool.
When it comes to convenience, if you look at the kitchen, right, cooking. So we're always looking for ways to cook faster, cook better, and just to have the meals prepped in like the shortest amount of time, and trying to do our best to make them healthy too. But then with that comes these like non-stick pans, fryers, and all the various things that help support that.
And then prepared meals too, right?
And
that
prepared
come in
meals,
containers,
absolutely, right? In the plastic containers and all the various things. So really like stepping back and first assessing like, what is it that I need from this nourishment, from this food, and how can I still do it in a way that's going to serve my time and also my body? So looking at what am I cooking with, right? Am I cooking with those nonstick Teflon pans that were a great invention at that time, but we had zero understanding of what that's doing over time with that heat to our body? It is creating literal toxic fumes within our system that later on will show up in various ways, whether it's like reproductive hazards or cancers or all the other things. So what can we do there? We can switch into using cast iron, or we can look at so many different options that are using like non-toxic materials so that we can cook our foods in there. I mean, the big one is also microwaves, right? I get baffled when I still see people are using microwaves, knowing now how much radiation and everything that comes off of those microwaves. And it's just not something that's necessary anymore when you can have a beautiful toaster oven to replace it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then one of the movies that I think is really worth watching is called Dark Waters. Mark Ruffalo's in that one. It talks about the history of DuPont and these really toxic chemicals called PFAS, PFOS, which are basically part of the Teflon or the non-stick composite that makes up these things. And so to Sonya's point, every time you heat them up, every time you cook with them, it becomes part of your food, but then it also becomes aerosolized, right? Just the fact of heating things up. And that sort of takes us into the next discussion of the kitchen, which is airflow. Often we talk about, especially in the wintertime, the doors are closed, the windows are typically closed, we're not getting good airflow. And yet, we're sort of increasing the aerosolized nature of the soot or whatever gets like cooked off from the oven or from the pans or from the stove itself. You're breathing that in. And then plus on top of that, all those chemicals are getting heated up as a result of the composite of those cooking products. And if you're heating up oils or frying oils, smells great, right? But it's these are toxic chemicals that are going to your body. And they're, if you're the one who's doing a lot more of the cooking in the kitchen, like you're right next to the aerosolization of those fumes. And so, a bare minimum, a fan should be going constantly whenever there's any cooking, baking going on in the home. And maybe it's looking at better filtration systems for the air for the kitchen. Maybe it's opening a window when you're cooking, just something to disrupt some of that stagnation and accumulation of those aerosolized particles.
And to that point, when we look at statistics for health and cancers, autoimmune, and all of that, women tend to have more of those incidences than men do. And when we look at breast cancer, 9 out of 10 breast cancer patients are because of environmental factors, not genetic. So women are more so in the kitchen, are using the cleaning products, are doing all of the cooking and whatnot. So really making sure you are doing an inventory of your kitchen is so important. And even the soaps that we're using to wash the dishes, as we're washing that Teflon, it's all going into that water system as well. So now it's not just ourselves that we're impacting, we're also impacting the environment when it comes to like what chemicals are being thrown into the drains. And so if we don't have a filtration system within the house, that too is going to impact our health, because now we're going to go and take a shower or a hot bath, and then the chemicals in there. I mean, I know we've talked about these things before, like the chlorine and all of these disruptors of our thyroid, because of the water supply that is getting through our skin, which is the largest organ on our body, and will absorb all those toxicity.
I guess we've moved into the bathroom now.
We moved into the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about the bathroom.
So that's a big one, looking at your water supply, and then the daily products. Like imagine.
So what's a correction for the water supply? I mean, you could get a filter, right?
Yeah, you can get a filter within your home, or you can get one for the shower head. I know Santivia makes many that you can use for the shower head itself. So that would be a course correction, I think, when it comes to water in the bathroom. And then you look at the products that you have in your bathroom. So what are you using every day? Toothbrush, deodorant, makeup for women, lotions, creams, body butters, all the various things that we're putting on every single day that are getting absorbed through your skin every single day. So looking at those and seeing how can I support myself in transitioning into something that's going to be non-toxic. So you can download apps. There's an app called Think Dirty, Shop Clean.
That's a great name.
Yeah, Think Dirty, Shop Clean. So you can scan your products to see where they are on that category when it comes to carcinogens and hormone disruptors. You can also go on the EWG website, so Environmental Workers Group, and punch in
.org, right?
.org.
Yeah.
You can punch in the names of some of the ingredients, because often you will turn that product around and there will be ingredients that you cannot pronounce or you haven't heard of before. So you can punch those in and see where they are on that grade when it comes to carcinogens and, again, hormone disruptors.
When we name a couple, like here's one with the dryer sheets, right?
But now we're in the laundry room.
No, I know, but they cross borders, right?
Yeah, so like benzyl alcohol, benzyl acetate, those are big ones. Even limonene, I mean, that's more in the dryer sheets and stuff. But these are very common. Ethanol, so very, very common. If you turn your products around right now, you'll probably see at least one or two of those on the ingredients. So really paying attention to that is so important. So just that in itself is creating havoc in your system already.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the beauty products, whether it be the antiperspirant or the deodorants, bisphenol A, the polysorbate aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so much stuff in there, right? Like it's
Scary.
overwhelming. Yeah, it's overwhelming, and it's scary.
Yeah, and then continuing on with the bathroom for women, feminine hygiene products. So there was a study done in the Journal of Reproductive Toxicology where they proved that there was chemicals in there. There's phthalates, there's VOCs, so volatile organic compounds that actually create disruption in your reproductive system. 1 out of 6 couples right now are having fertility issues. And that starts at a young age. So there's, our diaper that we wear, and then the diapers we put on our children that are disposable if we're not getting like the cotton organic ones. And I'm sure even those have some elements of chemicals in there too, but less so than these other ones. So we're starting like at a young age, creating havoc in that reproductive area because those diapers are on them literally 24 hours a day.
No kidding. When you said our diaper, were you referring to women?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe yours for like
just for the
in
record,
20 years or so.
I'm not wearing a diaper. No way, man.
I'm sure they'll come up with something else, like a different form of Diva cup.
Right. Okay. Maybe we should look at inventing something like that.
Yeah, for men.
Okay. Whole new market. Anyways, so that's some really important stuff, obviously, in the bathroom. And then toothpaste, right? Toothpaste is another one. Are you using fluoride? Are you using some of those other crazy chemical names that are going into your mouth, into that warm environment? They're leaching into your gums, and maybe you've got gum recession. Maybe you've got some like bleeding gums, and you're mixing these chemicals in with your blood supply. And so that, that's a big deal, and it's repetitive, and it's, ongoing. So we, if you listen to the podcast we did with Dr. Jerry Cartola, he developed an amazing toothpaste called Revitin. So that's one that we use in our home. He talks a little bit about it on the podcast and why it's important. So now
stepping into the bedroom.
Okay.
You are spending, half your life in there with sleep. And when looking at the sheets that you're sleeping on, looking at the mattress that you're sleeping on now, is that creating, you're sweating at nighttime. So there's this like interaction happening with the bugs and chemicals and all of those things. So like really looking into what type of mattress is so important. So what we have is the Essentia mattress, the organic mattress. And we found even our sleep was different.
Yeah.
After using that, and the sheets getting bamboo or 100% cotton. It's never going to be perfect, and we're not asking for perfection, but you try to control what you can control. And then what are you washing those sheets with? What kind of detergent are you using? Are you using those dryer sheets that we all like to use because we don't like the static that the dryer creates? But those things themselves are going to create more toxicity, which then we are inhaling all night. And it's on our skin all night. So just really, again, going from room to room and not overwhelming yourself. So maybe this month you start with one room, and the next month you go to the next room, like go to the ones that you're spending more time in first, so that you can start to make these slow changes.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point. I think it's important to reiterate it, and that's just the amount of time that you're spending in bed, right? I mean, it's like 8 hours a day, let's say, roughly. Breathing that in, being next to, being in contact with your skin, and it's either supporting you or it's adding to that toxicity burden, right? And so it's really important to pay attention to that. Like you're technically in bed at least the same amount of time you're wearing clothes in the day. Probably a little bit less, and then in that bedroom, are you cleaning it regularly? Are you using air filtration for your bedroom too? Again, in the wintertime, it tends to be a more stagnant air kind of area of the home, and so maybe getting a good air filter
or plants. So a snake plant can be really helpful in cleaning up the air for you. So there's lots of different plants that you can use and put in every room to help that air quality. Our boys are lucky. They have our what's it called? Our molecule air filter.
Yeah,
it wasn't cheap,
right.
but we gave it to them.
Yeah, and they've got a plant.
And they've got a snake plant, just to make sure that they are healthy. Especially our oldest, he's quite reactive to dust and allergies and those kinds of things. So those little things make a huge difference.
And I'm the vacuum guy in the home, so. If they wake up in the morning with a little bit of a little sniffly morning or a little more congested in the morning, Dada, when was the last time you vacuumed? So I get grilled if there's any bit of excess dust in their bedroom specifically. Yeah. So that's our home. Other things, things that we paid attention to as younger parents was the kind of toys that our boys played with. We tried to get more wood and stuff like that.
And again, it wasn't perfect.
It wasn't perfect.
Lego is all plastic.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, you do the best you can is the point, right?
Yeah. You do the best that you can. So again, you don't overwhelm, but there are options out there, and you do whatever you can to just clear that environment so that it's less of a toxic load in your body, because the more toxins your body has to deal with, the harder it is to heal. And so if you're constantly having to empty it, which unfortunately in the world we live in, we are constantly having to empty it. And think about your days too. If you're waking up, maybe some of you go to the gym, the toxicity in that gym, the rubber, all the things that you're breathing in, come home, take a shower in like that chlorine filled water. You put on all your products now that your pores are nice and open. You get into your car, fumes. Now you're going through traffic, fumes. Now you're going into your office, and maybe there's who knows what kind of lighting or air filtration or airflow is there. And then you come home and repeat, right? So what can we do on a daily basis to help support the system is, again, connecting with nature. So that can be something so simple to reset your body. And I don't want to put doom and gloom over our days, but it's just really about having awareness so you can start implementing some of these simple changes. I remember at one point I was like, that's it, we're going to be a plastic-free home. And it's impossible. when
It's
you're
not impossible.
it's not impossible, but when you're buying groceries and
Yeah.
things like that, it's like even the organic fruit is coming in like plastic, even though I buy the reusable bags and do all of that. But there's certain packages that's just how it's sold. So it's really hard to not buy those plastic things. I mean, you can transfer everything after, but there's just, but the cleaners I'm buying, the bottles are plastic, right? So there's definitely things that are really hard to avoid, but then there's things that you can do to help support.
Yeah, because technically, I mean, if we wanted to, we could break down each little thing. Like you can make your own cleaner at home, but again, I guess the vinegar still comes in a plastic bottle.
You need a spray bottle.
You need a spray bottle.
We can get a glass spray bottle, I guess. Yeah. So there are definitely ways, and with modern life, that can feel hard and overwhelming. So one room at a time.
Yeah. And then, maybe one last thing is just paying attention to the kind of clothes that you purchase, right? Because same thing, if there's a lot of great, athletic gear that's out there, but it's not necessarily breathable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of popular brands use things that have higher amounts of polyester versus cotton. And, they look great, they fit great, but then are they breathing through the skin, in the way that your body needs, and so anyways, lots of little places I think one could pay attention to. So with all that said, as Sonya mentioned, it can sound doom and gloom, but it's baby steps. And how can you make your body more resilient, right? So a lot of things that we teach on a regular basis really support elimination, which should be a big focus. Like how do we, assimilate our environment, but also eliminate what's not serving us, right? And so obviously there's a lot more conversations that are needed to help support understanding that, which obviously we'll get into more as we go along. But I think that's good for.
I mean, there's so much more that could be talked about, like secondhand smoke, the dung smoke, the EMF.
We'll talk about India, but just for a sec, because I mean, this is part of that indoor air pollution situation that, that's affecting this 3.8 million, maybe more people in the world.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the elder Indian population, there's been a lot of lung challenges and heart. And part of that, especially those that have migrated from India to Canada or other places, they end up working in farms. Like my nana, my grandfather, he worked in a farm for a long time. He was a professor back home, but here he had to pick berries. And there were sprays going on around him all the time. They weren't wearing masks. There's nothing protected, no protective gear or any of that. So he's inhaling that every time, every day. And also, back home, they use cow dung and they burn that when they're cooking. And I witnessed this myself. I never thought anything of it then because it's just part of life. And, watching my nanny crouch down and like cooking, her face is literally in that smoke. And then that's has a huge impact on people's lungs. And when you're doing that every single day, and I'm sure because everything's actually open. There's no roof, all of that except for some rooms. So there is that like other balance with nature. But when you come here, everything is closed in. So there's that difference, and then lifestyle change. And so there's just been this huge rise in lung cancers, fibrosis of the lungs, and also heart attacks,
heart disease.
So
I remember actually when we traveled through India, Sonya showed me this massive pile of cow dung.
I'm like, it's like gold there.
What's that for? Like,
it's
just like we could cook
everything, heating the house, all of it.
I was like, that's disgusting.
It's all about recycling.
But you said some of the best roti was with the cow dung as the fuel source. Okay.
I mean, you see like the water buffalo walking by pooping, and then you see people running and grabbing it.
There you go. It's like gold.
It's recycling. It's natural.
Yes, it's very natural. That's for sure.
Okay. So there you have it. Again, hopefully we didn't overwhelm you guys, but maybe take out a piece of paper and write down on the top one room, and then write down all the products and everything that you're using, and then just start writing some substitutes, because it's spring cleaning time. So now is the best time to incorporate some of this into your life.
Oh, one last thing, just in the air circulation. One of the things that we use a lot are diffusers.
Yes.
Right. So,
instead of those air fresheners or Febreze,
that's
and
like calm.
all the things. Go to Sage, go to whoever, doTERRA, whatever you use, and just gather some of that, or just you can make your own. Like there's so many DIY stuff out there now that you can create your own.
Okay, thanks for tuning in. And for those of you that don't know, we do deeper dives on a monthly basis with our crew called Health Ignited Club. And so if you're enjoying these conversations and you want to join us in a more intimate kind of venue where we do monthly challenges, essentially, we apply what we're teaching and we do it in a group setting. If that's of interest to you, reach out to us and we'd love to have you join our club. Yeah,
or go to Drs.Jensen.com where you'll see all of the information and everything that you get in that membership.
Yeah, and that's it for now. On the topic of detoxification, we've got a group detox process coming up soon as well. So stay tuned for that. Again, you can find the details on Drs.Jensen.com. So one thing is changing the environment. The other one is how do you make your body more resilient to change that internal environment. So that's the detox fix. So check that out on the website. Thanks for tuning in.